Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome to Near Mint Condition. Today we're talking about the nerd fad that's sweeping the land, retro gaming.
The games that keep bringing you back over and over again.
12-year-old me. Alright, so we're going to talk about retro gaming. Games that used to play when we were younger, had more free time. Games that we still play today.
I know I couldn't ever fall asleep unless I watched my mom play Atari, the NES, just closing my eyes and being like, Mom, beat Bowser, get Bowser.
That's really cool.
You know, you say now that we have time, and I find myself, now that I'm older and I have kids, I have What the hell are you doing?
What are you doing?
Sorry, I was playing Pokemon Go. Sorry. What? What is this episode about?
Okay. Old school retro gaming.
Okay.
My baby is the regular old school Nintendo. This thing right here. I got this in 86-ish. I was 12 years old. This is sort of kind of the one that I had back in the day. It's been modded though. Let me get to a story. So, when I was young, I sucked at video games. It took me like a year and change to beat Super Mario Brothers. It took me months and months and months to beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But then as I got better, got more skill under my belt, played the crap out of this thing. Okay, cool, right? Fast forward, I have a wife, I have kids, I don't have time to play games like I used to. But I still have, in Battletoads, there's really hard levels where you can go through little pipes and things like that. I can still beat Mike Tyson, 073735963. I still know the codes, I can beat Mike Tyson, right? Nice. Okay, so I'm like, hey, I want to show the babies, the Nintendo, right? So I'll go get the Nintendo, and the Nintendo, if you have a modern TV, you can't really plug it in, because this thing has composite input, and when you plug it to a new...
You need the AC adapter.
The AC adapter is all big and clunky, the input to a TV is slow and laggy, and it makes it look like crap. There's technical terms I want to get to about 240p, and I'm not going to get to that, but the point is you take your red and yellow cable and plug it to a modern TV, there's lag, and it looks like crap. So I didn't realize this until I plugged this thing in, and I'm trying to...
Wow, you were rich, red and yellow cable. I had an RF switch.
Yeah.
That's true. So when I was a kid...
You were your parents' remote.
Oh my god. So when I was a kid, I remember this as plain as day. We had a 13-inch TV with an RF switch.
Yep.
Right? And I'm trying to play Metroid, and Metroid uses a password system. You kids nowadays with your save states, F that.
We had Justin Bieber password.
We had to write down passwords, right?
Not Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Justin Bailey.
We kept the notepad for the passwords underneath our NES.
Yes. I kept on mine in the manual. We had manuals back then.
I remember I used to draw my maps in Zelda or whatever game I was playing.
I filled out the map in Zelda.
Dragon Quest. Before I got strategy guides, because we couldn't afford them.
Before there were maps in the corner.
Draw them.
Yeah, exactly. Before everything told you where to go.
Drawing maps would have made these games so much easier.
Damn, that was half the problem.
We didn't need them for Pitfall.
Just go that
I was
way.
sitting there drawing them in the dirt, and you're like, what, maps?
No,
Yes, because I had enough money to afford a Nintendo, but not paper and pen.
Didn't you make one with corn husks and such?
Anyway,
so I'm on my 13-inch TV, and my mom was like, I'm 12, 14, whatever, with my brother. It's like, we gotta go somewhere. And I was really far in Kraid's lair in Metroid, right? So I was like, okay, Mom, we can't turn off the Nintendo. I have to write down this password. She was like, I don't care about your silly game. That's a different story. She's like, we gotta go. But she was sweet, and she's like, you know what? He has been playing here instead of going outside. He doesn't have any friends.
Likes him.
He can't go
ahead,
outside.
Honey.
So she gets a piece of paper, she writes down the password. Now, I just told you this thing was using an RF unit on a 13-inch TV. And the characters in Metroid, they all suck. They all look the same, right?
Yeah.
Q and P and they all suck. So she writes down the password that cuts off the machine. Unfortunately, because it was so small, the password wasn't right. I never could figure it, so I had to start fucking Metroid again. After that happened, I wrote a letter to my dad. "Hey, Dad, we had a 19-inch."
Whoever you are.
Whoever you may be, just put in the mail or by the milk stand.
Dear Santa, please
Dear
deliver.
Santa, please. So we had a 19-inch TV, and like, I'm 12. I don't know how to do RF. It's like, could you please have these great arguments? If you put the game Nintendo on the 19-inch TV, it'll look so much more clear and better, and blah blah blah. So they did make that happen. That was nice. Okay, so these are the follies that kids don't have to worry about nowadays. They just take HDMI and they're done. So nowadays, I'm like, all right, I want to resurrect this Nintendo. Go get it out. I'm gonna play it, and I use red and yellow, and it looks like crap. I also have an old tube TV, but the old tube TV, it can do better than red and yellow. So I went to Radio Shack and paid $40 for all these cables to plug in. And like, marginally better, marginally not. But the game, so I'll go back to my big HD TV, it's a plasma, and I try to play Mike Tyson. I'm trying to beat Mike Tyson, I still remember the code. So I'm playing Mike Tyson, and he beats me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. Can I not beat Mike Tyson anymore? So that's when I ran the Nintendo to the old CRT, the old tube TV, and I beat it like the first time. It's like, okay, I'm not getting old. There's lag on the TV. Emulators have lag on them. This system has lag with the component input or composite inputs. I gotta fix this. So if you go on the internet, there's this guy named Tim Worthington, and he created a mod called the NES RGB. Or if you send him your, well, not him, he makes a board, but you can send dudes your Nintendo. They'll solder in this board. They use the same multi-out connector that the N64, the Super Nintendo, and the GameCube uses.
Wait. This episode is brought to you by Tim Worthington.
Tim Worthington by the NES RGB. The guy who did mine was in Ohio. His name was Yerky, I think. So I sent him all my goods, and he brings this Nintendo back, and it has this cool mod, which I'll show you guys. But so this connector right here, that's not what the Nintendo has. But the cool thing about this is now we can output RGB, which is better than S-Video, better than composite.
Yeah.
It separates the essentially separates the colors so things look a lot better. Plug this thing into my cool Sony PVM TV, and I first turn it on, and I've never seen such glory. Mario looked perfect. My childhood dreams came true. Like when Mario jumps, you can see his foot go straight up and down. You can see like little dots on the clouds. It's like 12-year-old me is like totally having
You
connection.
can see the bulge in his pants. Mario hangs dong.
So here I am, like 30-some-year-old dude with kids, and I'm sitting in front of this TRT RGB Nintendo, and I'm playing games like my eyes are hurting, but I'm going through my whole library of like Xanadu, Kid Icarus, Metroid, Mario, playing all these old games. Look like I've never seen anything like this before. I noticed details I never saw before. It was blowing my mind.
30 years ago.
How much does that
So the RGB.
the Framemeister?
Okay. So let me get to that. The RGB mod.
Oh, that's not the.
No,
Yeah, that's not the
he
Framemeister.
actually had sent this out and got his NES modded.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So inside of this is a chip that's like $90-ish bucks, and if you're hardcore, you can do the mod yourself. But I'm not. I paid a dude a couple $100, and he
You
did.
do
it for
have
me.
shaky hands. I don't blame you.
Wait, let me solder this.
Probably all that chronic that I smoke. So I'm happy as a lark. I'm playing these old Nintendo games on my TV, and RGB looks glorious. But the problem is where the CRT TV is in the front room. It's not in the main room where everyone else is. So now it's right back again to me being a kid. I'm like, playing these games away from everybody else.
Dear Daddy.
It's like, okay, I need to play these in the main room where the big TV is and where all the kids and stuff are, right? But again, it looks like crap. So I hemmed and hawed and finally decided to buy this thing, the Framemeister, the XRGB Mini. This came from Japan, and what this thing does is you plug in RGB right here, and it spits out HDMI with almost no lag. So,
For how much?
$300. This is why I hemmed and hawed on this.
300 American money.
300. Yes, 300
I
American
can't
dollars.
say anything. That's how much Frankie was. Carry on.
Yes, $300. So one of the reasons I was hemming and hawing is because, again, I'm a cheap black man. Spending $300 on this thing with moderate application is insane. But there's also something called an analog NT where they took old NES chips and wrapped them in aluminium, and it's $500, and it does something similar.
Adamantium?
What? Wolverine?
Aluminum. So I was like, okay, should I spend $500 on that thing, which is the perfect NES, or should I get my Nintendo modded and buy a Framemeister? And I ultimately decided to do it this way because I can plug more systems in. I can plug in my NES, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis
Wait,
into
so
the...
it
So do
has-
you need the mod to run to the Framemeister?
Yes, now, to look the best, because I could take just straight up red and yellow
Yeah.
and white and plug it in there, and it up-converts it, again, with hardly any lag, and it will look a lot better, but the best is to give it RGB and then have it spit out.
Okay.
So I'll make sure to show you all some samples of what this thing looks like. But so I plug this thing in, I have a projector, and like as great as Mario looked before on the CRT, like he was razor sharp, perfect images in 80 inches.
Like he actually looks like you could tell each pixel apart.
You can see each pixel very plainly.
I know you've seen the little mini Nintendo that has come out, right?
Yes, the
So it's coming
Nintendo
out-
NES Mini, and it plays...
So what is the difference between that, because it plugs in through HDMI, and this? Besides you not having to use a cartridge, you just get one of the 60 down, like, there's 60 games in there, right?
Okay, so...
Or is it $60 and 30
$60 and 30 games.
30 games.
And the 30 games I own. So when that came out, like, I saw this announcement, and I was like, oh my god, I need this, even though I have all 30 games that are in the box.
Even though you have this.
Even though I have this, and I have the 30 games, what's cool about the NES Mini is it's $60. It uses, we believe it uses an emulation technology, and it does HDMI directly on it. So it should also provide a lag-free experience. It also has save states. But the advantage of this versus that device is this thing can also do RGB, so it can plug it to an old CRT. So I get the CRT functionalities with, you know, your big tube. I also get HDMI functionality, and obviously I have this little cartridge slot that I can play whatever the fudge that I want to beyond those 30 games. Because the Nintendo Mini, which I'm going to buy anyway, it does not connect to the internet. You can't like download extra games. It's just
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. You can't download extra games.
Like, I don't know, were people
I mean,
expecting?
who wants to stop at Mega Man 1
It's not
and 2?
going to have the slot so you can play your old games on it.
No,
They didn't
it's
make
not
it
big enough.
compatibility.
No,
Oh.
no,
Like,
it is.
it literally
Like, I know
is
it's
the
like in
size
the
of
palm
like
of your hand.
If you have a
like
white
this.
manicured hand, it fits like right there. Thank you for watching Near Mint Condition. Please like, subscribe, share with all your other gaming friends. Let me know in the comments what games that you still play that keep you up till 2 a.m. That's what she said. Will people recognize that music?
if they're playing Pokemon Go. I don't know if they will be 2 weeks from now, because you know how people are.
Oh, no, don't be
They're gonna be like, this is old. They're playing Pokemon Go. What was that like 2 weeks ago?
Bitches!